Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to change the way the world eats. Guys, my name is Shurina. I'm a certified nutritionist, nutrition, health coach, helping people like you to learn how to use nutrition as a tool to improve every single aspect of your life. We are built from what we put on our plate. Every single cell is built from that. And the quality of that defines how we're going to feel, look, and what we're going to do with our life, believe it or not. That being said, guys, today I want to share with you an experiment that I've been doing for a while. And it all started with me listening to a podcast from this famous, these days, neuroscientist from Stanford, Andrew Huberman. He has his own lab and does a lot of research related to how our brain and nervous system work and how they affect our life. And he has this podcast where he's doing a really amazing job delivering his scientific discoveries or what he personally learns from other people. He delivers that on his podcast in routines and tools that people like myself can use to improve our health, well-being, and performance. So anyhow, I was listening to that podcast on one day, and Andrew Huberman was talking about how our eating behavior is the second most powerful signal in our body to synchronize all of our biological clocks that we have in every cell. And we also have a major clock in our brain that helps to synchronize all the other clocks in our cells. So believe it or not, let me start with telling you a little bit more about our internal biological clocks. Believe it or not, every cell in our body has this clock that helps to synchronize the function of the cell with day and night cycle on Earth, because everything here on Earth, we need to be synchronized with day and night cycle in order for us to function well, to get resources we need to survive, like food or other resources, to sleep and rest when we need to sleep and rest, to be active when we need to be active. And it's all very important in biology to be synchronized with day and night cycles. Now, some creatures, some animals are designed, so to speak, to be active at night, but humans are not one of those animals. We are designed to thrive and be active during the day. And so we have these clocks in all of our cells, and again, the major one in our brain that synchronize functions of our body with day-night cycle. And what's interesting, it's not like there is a special organ that is a clock, a cellular clock. No, it's actually a protein that is created during the night and then destroyed during the day. And that's how our cells watch the time, so to speak, or, synchronize themselves and make sure that they are on time. They do everything on time. It's important that all of our clocks are synchronized because, again, all of our cells also and tissues need to work together. Our digestive system, our immune system, our nervous system, our different hormones, all of them need to work together at certain times more than at other times in order for us to be healthy. In order for all of our organs to perform their functions, from digestion to defending us from different pathogens to, recovering our systems when we are asleep, to give you a little bit even better idea about how important synchronization of all cells and organs and tissues and our brain is. I'm going to read you some of the effects that we know you're going to experience if your clocks are desynchronized. Short-term consequences: trouble concentrating, increased stress, emotional distress, feeling unwell, memory problems and difficulty learning, poor physical performance and coordination. Long-term effects, mood disorders and psychological problems, heart and blood pressure issues, obesity and diabetes, reduced immune response, increased risk of cancer, worsening of existing medical conditions. So basically everything starts to go wrong. And as you can see in our society, that's pretty much what's happening. One of the major ways how our body keeps track of time and synchronizes all of the clocks is when we see light and how much we see it and when we don't see it. So what it means is, for example, a really great practice for you to synchronize your circadian rhythms and all of the clocks in your body is to view sunlight in the first hour of your waking. Ideally, that should correspond with sunrise, but obviously people live in different time zones, and sometimes, you're in England and during winter sunrise is like, I don't remember, I think it was like 9 something or around that, and it's already kind of not optimal for the body to synchronize clocks, and then the sun goes down too early. There are all these kinds of conditions that don't make it perfect, but still, for a human being, it is the most beneficial when we see sunlight, some sort of sunlight, being outside, not staring at it through the window or through any glass, being outside in the first hour of waking. The closer it is to sunrise, the better it is. And so light, and also looking at our screens late at night, it interrupts with that circadian synchronization. We're not supposed to be looking at bright light late at night when we are supposed to be getting ready for bed. Not just our cells, but all of our cells need to prepare us for bed so we recover and restore all our systems and prepare for the day ahead. Right? So light is the most powerful signal for our brain first that, okay, this is the active part of our day. We need to start running everything, all of our organs and tissues. And then in so many hours, we need to prepare you for bed. But viewing light, sunlight, first hour of waking is very crucial for that. And then seeing more light during the day also is very beneficial to that. And then not seeing a lot of bright light at night, not looking at your screens, especially without the blue blocking software that most of the phones have these days, or not being in a place that is super bright. That also is important for you to synchronize all of your clocks. Otherwise, as they say in literature, your clocks get confused, and so all of the processes all of a sudden become a little bit off. But besides light, food, when we eat food specifically, is the second most important signal to our body when to run your clock. You see, nutrition is very important for our body, as you can imagine. You don't eat, you die. That's, the end of story, right? And so the body needs to synchronize your systems to be able to digest your food in the most efficient, effective way to extract as many nutrients as possible, because especially in the early days of human history, we didn't know when the next meal would come. So the digestive system had to be as efficient as it possibly could be to digest the food, to extract the nutrients, to put it in the right use, for different restoration functions, or to just keep us running. So food, when we eat food, is a very important factor in human life and well-being. And so when we eat food, the body needs to run all these processes around food in the most effective and efficient way to not miss out on the opportunity to get the nutrition that is crucial for our life. Again, we don't get nutrients, we don't eat, we die. End of story. And so when we eat food, that also resets and adjusts our circadian clocks, because obviously when you eat food, supposedly that's when the food is available. So that's like the logic in your body, right? So you need to also be active at that time, maybe to catch your meal, like in the early days of human history. Nowadays we're not catching, we're more like ordering and catching the delivery guy to get our food. But for the body, it doesn't really matter. When you eat, it's still a signal. Okay, this is the active part of the day, it seems. So we need to keep you running and probably not sleeping. But then there is dark and light cycle, and it's still important. And then the body, the brain, and all the cellular clocks, they get confused. Like, okay, this is night, but you are eating. And then the next day you might not be eating at the time. And all the clocks get a little bit desynchronized, sometimes a lot if you continue this behavior of desynchronization of light viewing and food eating. And most people are doing exactly that. And what happens is all of these minor disorders first, and then all of these major disorders that we are seeing growing in our population, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, blood pressure, like you name it. People, like the amount of those diseases of lifestyle is growing and growing and growing. And there are many reasons. Of course, the quality of food, for example, matters, or inactivity. But then also this desynchronization is a major one. Andrew Huberman, that's neuroscientist that I mentioned, he said that when you change your eating time by 2-3 hours, it actually is kind of like giving yourself a jet lag. Are you familiar with jet lag? Like, you wake up and you're kind of like groggy. You're not here and not there mentally because, you changed many time zones. And we know how it affects us in a negative way, right? From mental health to energy levels to how we do exercise, our work, everything is affected. But so eating food 2-3 hours later, for example, it does kind of the same thing to you. You kind of like giving yourself a mini jet lag. And that is confirmed by neuroscientists. That's the kind of effect you're giving yourself. And so now back to my experiment, guys. So once I learned that the time was giving myself a little jet lag every time I eat, let's say instead of finishing my dinner at like around 6, I would finish my dinner around 8 or even 8:30. Healthy food, everything, but different time. Maybe I would go out, maybe I just felt hungry at the time and I decided to have something additionally. Once I learned that was kind of giving myself a mini jet lag, and I felt it next morning. Every time I would eat off my regular schedule, next morning I would wake up and my skin doesn't look that well in the mirror. I don't really feel that optimistic or full of energy. My stomach is a little bit off, of course, that I ate, later and went to bed. I still went to bed early. Then my energy levels, my work, everything was affected on a minor level, but I felt that. And okay, so now I know that the science confirms it. So let me change it around. Let me not eat later and just stick to the same schedule. And for me, that means eating from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. And I've been doing that for about a month now. After 6 p.m., 6:30, nothing. I just drink water, drink my herbal tea. That's all I do. And guys, I must tell you, I did not expect this experiment to go that well. Now, my sleep is on point. I wake up on the same time. I wake up full of energy, optimistic, ready to go. My training, my recovery time, my ability to do a lot of highly mentally demanding work, my mental health, my emotional health, it all improved so much that I'm there is no freaking way I'm gonna eat late again. Seriously, I just feel so much better. I feel like a superwoman, seriously. And I didn't change much of anything else, just that. And it is mind-blowing for me. And I just wanted to share that with you, that when you do things like when you go to sleep, when you view light, those are, first 2 things, they're more powerful than when you eat food. But then food is up there too. It is very, very important. So when you eat food is also crucially important. So I highly recommend you guys to look at your eating schedule and start keeping it the same. Neuroscientists say that the worst times to eat food is the first hour of waking because of cortisol, because of different hormones circulating when you're just waking up. So the worst time to have food, first hour of waking, and later than 2-3 hours before bed. 3 hours is the best. 2 hours is the very minimum. So 1 hour after waking, at least 2 hours, better 3, before going to bed. So these are the worst hours to have your food. The best hours are all the other hours. After 1 hour of waking, and when it's earlier than 2-3 hours before your bed, that's when you need to have your food. Do this experiment also for a couple of weeks, even for, a week. You're going to see a huge difference in the way you feel, you perform, and heck, you might lose a couple of pounds just doing that. So I do highly recommend this practice. It is based on research and science that is still developing, coming out of the best neuroscience labs. But it is science, so it's not some hokey-pokey stuff. It works. It works because of circadian biology and our internal clocks and how we are being synchronized every day with day-night cycle on Earth to function optimally. So now it's the time for you to act. You have the information. It's super easy to do. It's just adjusting your time. I know, you say, but my social life. Well, your social life can actually get better if you feel better every single day. And I'm not saying do your food or sleep at certain times. I'm saying figure out what can work potentially in your life. And now with the knowledge that you just received, figure out how you can do better and maybe not get the best of both worlds, but just do better. So this is your assignment for today. Figure it out. If you have any advice, if you need any advice, and if you have something to share, please do reach out. Share this episode with another person who's eating and sleeping and sun viewing behavior might be all over the place. Well, tell them, you might be not feeling as well and not doing as well as you could have. If you just scheduled your things better and did certain things like sleep, sun viewing, and eating on the same schedule. So share this episode. Let's all feel and do better, live our awesome lives. And guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for learning, for sharing. And till next time, eat better daily.